of Secrets of Herbal Healing. And today the topic is about healing space. So last week we talked about preparation and some of the things you can do around preparation, getting yourself ready for a change or to make a change in your health. And today what we're talking about is how you can do that via your space or creating space or working with space. And it's my goal is to simplify the principles around herbal healing and reveal some of the secrets and put them across in such a way that they're easy to grasp and understand. So that's what we're going to do today with healing space. So I'm just going to play you my little intro. So welcome back. And when you talk about space or healing, the two things seem to go hand in hand around the world, especially when you think about practices of healing or spirituality or even religions. They all create this space or this environment for healing to take place and for progress so that we can grow and expand and develop. And it's a really interesting principle because what we've tended to do in our world today is crowd our environment and bring more and more things into our world and into our society to the point where we become overloaded. And our energy becomes almost like condensed or contracted and pushed in on us, which is the opposite to what we need for healing. So let me give you a quote around one of the fundamental laws of energy in the universe when it relates to this. So this is called the law of conservation. And it was originally discovered in the 1800s by Robert von Meyer. And this is a quote from his theory of the law of conservation. Energy can neither be created nor destroyed, only transformed from one form to another. And this is really interesting when you consider especially the word transformed. So all energy does is it moves from one place to another and it gets transformed. Now, when you think about your life and all the things that are in your life and all the things that come into your energy experience of life, all of these energies moving from one place to another are being transformed in that process. And so for healing to take place, we need to create the space for our energy to be transformed into, and this is a really interesting thing, all energy ultimately transforms into heat. And this is a universal principle. All energy that ever was and ever will be in the entire universe will eventually end up as just heat and heat energy. Now, as I talk through this principle of healing space, I'm going to just share my screen with you. And I'm going to share a web page that I've done on the subject. And you'll see here this page where I'll give you a QR code so you can have a look at it later if you want to. But I'm going to go through the principles of healing space. And here's this law of energy, of conservation in action, that these layers represent layers within us. And you can see the spirit in the middle here, the mind, the emotions, the physical body, and then on the outside, heat. And all energy ultimately results in heat. And all metabolic energy results in heat. And all the energy that we have within us ultimately ends up as heat. And that's the way to think about it. Because if you've ever experienced healing or any kind of natural healing, especially hands-on healing or energy healing, or even when you're healing your body with herbs or with other therapies, heat is quite often used. And even in energy medicine and modern medicine, we have things like ultrasound. For example, when those energies pass through our body, we feel this nice warmth and heat. And what that does is it's an indication that our energy is being released. So if you feel like this is a state of overload. And oftentimes we take on more things and we accumulate things, and all of those things represent a form of energy. So everything you own, everything you possess, and everything you do, every process that you are mentally or emotionally or physically engaged in is a form of energy in motion. So just like that law of conservation, all energy in the universe is being moved from one place to another and eventually will end up as heat. And you might think, well, how can my laptop computer end up as heat? Well, one day it'll end up in a landfill, one day it'll decompose down in the ground, and eventually it'll come back up as either oil or some kind of molten rock in the earth. So at the end of everything is heat. And so going back to this picture here is really important when you think about your healing process. So to generate heat, your physical body has to go through some kind of metabolic action. And if your physical body is storing waste or toxins or buildup or undigested or unprocessed fats or anything, then that energy ultimately wants to end up as heat. Now, for that to happen, we need to create a space. And it's very hard to release your energy when you're confined. And that's why it's so important to generate space. And so one of the ways we do that, and think about this is a natural thing we do. Every day we go to sleep, we hop in bed and we rest. And if you're a healthy person during the night, your body should sweat, you should release toxins, and actually you should generate metabolic heat as well in that process. So basically breaking things down and releasing them from your body. And so sleep it's probably the first and foremost principle of healing space is make sure that you get enough sleep. So part of this principle of healing with space, generate space and time, make sure that you get enough sleep. You know that your body heals when you're sleeping. You know that your body heals when you go on holiday, when you take a day off, even when you just relax, and you disconnect or switch off. So that's creating space, allowing energy to move into that space in the form of heat, is releasing stress, energy. It's helping your metabolism to burn. It's generating healing within the body because the energy flows from that inner level that we looked at above here, from the spirit through the mind, releases the emotions. The physical body gets more energy and more energy is released. So getting that whole flow to happen is really important. So there's the first principle of healing space. The next one, I really like this one, minimalism. Simplification, in other words. So this is really well understood in the process of moving energy through a manufacturing production line. For example, the less processes you have in a production line, the faster you can produce products. So by simplifying the process, you increase the flow of energy. And it's the same in, like before we mentioned, people have spiritual practices or religious practices or meditation practices. Any of these practices are a form of simplification of the environment, simplification of the mind, simplification and purification of the space itself. Now, if you do this, you will immediately feel better. Immediately. It's almost instantaneous. So, for example, we like to go for a walk on the beach. There's something about the beach that is healing. And there's something about the bush that's healing. And it's because it's a form of minimalism. It's one vast space or one vast thing that we can connect with, and that opens up the channel and the energy starts to flow and we start getting healing. So a fantastic thing to understand is minimalism. So as part of your preparation, if you're going on a health journey or you want healing to happen, I highly recommend looking at something like Maria Kondo and doing what she does, which is get rid of all the things that don't bring you joy in your life. Basically, dump them, get rid of them, and go through the cupboards, go through the drawers, and systematically go through your home and your environment and clear it out and get rid of things that are not serving a purpose, that don't bring you joy, and get right down to the things that you really value. And you'll find that healing happens in that process. Fantastic principle. And the next one is detox. It's something I promote highly with our herbal health program is detoxing. So by detoxing your body, you're basically doing all of the above. You are simplifying, you're purifying, and you're putting in minimal amounts of varieties of food, simple and pure foods. So foods that have less processing, no added chemicals, less sprays, and plant-based, whole, unprocessed food. So by doing a detox, you open up a channel, and once again, it's like this flow of energy starts to happen. Your bowels move a lot more, your liver dumps toxins, and your whole body starts to flow, and energy starts to heal the body. So, and people experience a healing energy when they detox. So you'll be able to follow this further on the page. I'll give you the link to. In fact, I'll pop that up now. Just let me grab the QR code. So if you've got a phone handy, you'll be able to go straight to this page. So that's the healing page that I'm showing you now. Meditation. Now, you've all heard about meditation and mindfulness and living in the present moment and just being aware, shutting down the whole mental chatter and simplifying the mind. And what meditation does is it creates space in the brain for energy, because we are basically quietening down the mind and focusing on purely our sense of feeling and tuning into our intuitions. This can take a lot of practice to get really good at. But trust me, when you do it regularly and often and over a long period of time, meditation can totally transform your health. And because it creates space in the mind. And by creating space in the mind, you're once again applying that principle of energy flow. You're opening up a channel, opening up the space and letting the mind detox itself and unload and download. Similar to sleeping, but in fact, meditation can be 10 times more effective than sleeping. And so you can actually gain more energy from meditating for 20 minutes than a whole night's sleep. And you wonder how that happens? It's really, it sort of fits in with this whole thing of law of conservation, is it just allows energy to flow down through and be transformed into heat. Really interesting, isn't it? And I've studied people that meditate in a freezer, can meditate for hours and hours and hours in a freezer and not get cold. And this is an incredible scientific study that they've done. So meditation triggers this massive amount of heat in the body. So that fits directly with the law of conservation. When you simplify things, when you purify things, when you create space, heat and healing take place. And here's another one, fasting. It's the last one, actually. I've just covered the 5 main points today, but there is a lot more to this, and it can go a lot deeper. So fasting is ideal after you've done a detox, and it's ideal if you want to do meditation and get healing to happen, is to do 3 to 4 days, even 5. I wouldn't say go beyond that unless you're experienced and very experienced and you know what you're doing. But at the end of a detox program, you can fast for 3 or 4 days and get an incredible reset. And that because fasting creates a huge amount of space in the body. And by doing that, it allows all the healing processes to happen really quickly. So that's really the summary of the 5 points. I hope you go through to the page and have a look a bit deeper. Follow some of the links to some of the research as well. And I just wanted to remind you about the principle behind everything we're sharing. And I'd love to hear your comments and your thoughts about this and any ways that you can apply this principle. And also, I thought I'd remind you, I'd leave you with this, that we are always talking about the healing triangle, the power of your mind, the power of food, and also the power of medicinal herbs, and putting those three things together into this incredible healing triangle. So I hope that's been helpful today, and I'm really looking forward to talking to you again next week. Thanks again, and talk soon.